Funk Zone. This time, we're at a top secret winery. Well, not really, but it's Area 5.1 with owner and winemaker Martin Brown.
Hi, good to be here.
I'm so glad you could do this, bud. So tell me your concept here.
Well, since I arrived from that foreign country, Australia, as illegal alien. No, not really. I arrived here, and when I got my green card, they said I was a resident alien. So I thought that it would be really good to have a winery that was wine made by your friendly resident aliens. So that's how I came up with the concept. It kind of started before that because my brother and I have a winery up in the San Ynez Valley called Calira Winery. And I wanted to do a little spin-off where I kind of specialized in doing some more imaginative kind of new world blends, a little bit out of the, away from the traditional notebook on blending, simply because San Ynez Valley and Santa Barbara County was the home to so many wines that had their origins in different part of the old world. You have French, Spanish, Portuguese, Italian, German, Austrian, Hungarian, Croatian, etc. All these grapes in other part of the world, which have always been dictated by the old world rules that, if you're in Bordeaux, you don't add a Burgundy to a Bordeaux. And if you're in the Burgundy region, you don't add anything from Spain to that. And then this is all tried and tested, and obviously very strict in the appellations and the various control districts and parameters of European winemaking. And in America and somewhat in Australia that I had a lot of experience with, and even South Africa, they were following this kind of model, but there was absolutely no reason geographically why it had to be followed. Because I can go to a vineyard, say in Happy Canyon, and I can have some Viognier right next to some Albarino, which is Spanish or Portuguese, next to Loureiro, which is Portuguese, next to Gewürztraminer, which is German. So you didn't have to be geographically located. So I thought, well, let's explore that and let's make some blends based on where they are geographically now, right next to each other. So this was a little spin-off that I did, and I opened here probably 5 or so years ago, September. It was actually September the 5th at 1 o'clock, which was serendipitous. It was 5.1. And so I just followed, what it was? I had this idea that Area 51 is a great example. And to avoid any copyright issues and have a little fun with it, I changed it to Area 5.1, which just happens to be my birthday as well. So, it's a double-edged sword.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah. All right, awesome. So let me get this straight. You landed in the Funk Zone with otherworldly wine.
And I've always been of the belief that a tasting room should be a very fun place. It should be relaxing, it should be chill, it should be entertaining the moment you walk in. Because there's nothing worse than people coming in who are intimidated by wine.
Exactly.
The wine knowledge part of it, just generally the whole wine attitude that sometimes had been projected upon the general population, that you had to know something about wine to enjoy wine, which is wrong. It's like having a beer or a cola or a glass of whiskey.
Yeah, exactly. And our show, The Wine Dude, right, is all about taking the snobbiness out of wine tasting. Yeah. And I constantly tell people to drink what you like and like what you drink.
I always said, we like to take the knob out of wine snob, but I think that was vaguely rude. So,
Not for this show.
No, good. And so I was over there from 2007, and I looked across, I was wandering around the area, and I could see it was starting to be gentrified. The Funk Zone was an established area that a lot of art studios and art warehousing took over from the original manufacturing area, and it got its name Funk Zone from these funky art sort of establishments. And then I saw it being gentrified, and I saw people coming in, and they're starting to develop the area, and I'm like, I can see what's going to happen here. Because, that'd been 5 years that already operating in the Funk Zone, 5 or 6 years. And it was ourselves and Oriana and Santa Barbara Winery, and that was it, really, down in this area. And I could see, and I saw the guy who was developing this particular area, and I went up to him, I said, hey, I want in. I'd like to get a tasting room in here. And he asked me what the name of it was, and I said, I don't even know yet. I'll come up with that later. So I just saw what was going to happen down here, because I'd been a tenant and just seen it emerging, and it was a successful operation over there. So I thought, as part of my little project to expand kind of my winemaking sphere with my brother, that I would try and establish a new brand in a new location in a great area that was going to become dynamic, and it has, and therefore that's how Area 5.1 came around.
I think it's great, and that's why we're doing this special on the Funk Zone.
Yeah.
I want to bring people here to see all these really cool things. I mean, where are you going to find alien-based wine?
Yeah.
I mean, come on, you know?
Yeah, they're not made by aliens. It's all local, but it's oh, sorry, yeah. This is top secret. No one's allowed to know this.
That's right. See? Top secret.
Yeah. See, I even opened my top secret file, and the first wine I see is collusion. Oh, who knew?
Ooh.
Who knew back in 2013? But that would become a popular word. Anyway, we'll leave that one alone, shall we?
Don't start any conspiracies here.
So I decided to have a lot of fun naming the wines, and you know, as we all know that the more wine you imbibe, the more hilarious you become and imaginative you become, and that kind of rolled onto the naming of it as well. You know, so I had a lot of fun, and I continue to have a lot of fun naming the wines, describing them, and letting my staff have fun and use their imagination with what they want to say and what they want to do. So.
Yeah, I think it's very cool here. Definitely. So what do you got for me?
Well, you know, I always like to start the day with something that wakes up the palate. And in this situation, it's our Champagne Supernova. Now, I'm not allowed to call it champagne because it's not from the Champagne region. But I just mentioned that because there's a song called Champagne Supernova, so if I say it all at once, I can get away with it.
I see.
So our sparkling wine, our Supernova, is method champenois, which I'm probably not going to say either, but it means it's a natural fermentation in the bottle. So a very traditional method. This is a Blanc De Blanc, which is from the Chardonnay grape, and I used the facility to rack and riddle this to my desired style, and I really wanted to have a very crisp, light, dry champagne or sparkling wine. I was always drawn to this because every time I went to a wedding or New Year's Eve or a big event, they would come out and they'd give you a champagne and you'd toast it, you'd take a sip and you'd put it down. Right. And I'd look around at the end of the day and there was all this sparkling wine, champagne going to waste.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's because it's not approachable. It's either too sweet or too dry or hasn't been chilled correctly. So I wanted to make one that was refreshing and approachable. Drinkable is the description I give it. And it is. It has that kind of very crisp dryness. You don't, it's really a palate cleanser.
It really is. It's light, crisp, not too sweet.
Yep.
So I really like this. This is great.
Yeah.
So what kind of grapes are these?
This is 100% Chardonnay. And this is from, I got the grapes for this from the Sonoma County area.
So are they in oak?
Well, basically the way champagne works is once you take the wine and you put it back in the bottle, you re-ferment it.
Right.
That's where it's going to pick up all its characteristics.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Yeah, because it's light.
Yeah.
Very good. Yeah. I would definitely finish that at a wedding.
Yeah, no, that was the idea. All these people were just sitting around saying like, you know, oh, I've had my one sip of champagne, and then like, well, someone bought all this champagne for you, the sparkling wine, and no one drank it because it was either not a good selection or the wrong time of the evening. But you know, I believe that sparkling wine and champagne can be drunk at any time because they're the perfect food wine. So
Absolutely.
they should be serving it with the dinner or something like that.
Yeah, absolutely. And well, I'm not really known for leaving my wine.
No. And then what I did is because I wanted to adapt to this new world style, and I had a lot of experience. I lived in South Africa for 4 years, and I'm from Australia, so I'd seen a lot of different styles, and I lived in Europe for 8 years. So I've seen and tasted a lot of wines from a lot of regions, and been able to identify what I like, and not to say what I like, but what I think the customer and what the palate, particularly in California and the American palate in general, is moving towards. And it's moving away from their very traditional big oaky buttery style Chardonnays, and very big full-bodied Merlots and Cabs, and it's getting a little more sophisticated with the introduction or the people relating to Pinot Noir, people relating to Syrah. And now, because of such a great selection and a lot of good wine stores, people are really picking up on new varietals that they've never heard before. And there's some really good merchants out there and really good wine stores that are showing different varietals. So I kind of tended my way to lean towards something a little bit different. And a good example of that is our White Light Chardonnay. It's 100% Chardonnay. And this is from the San Ynez Valley fruit. And this is a wine which I did in conjunction with another winemaker, Chuck Carlson. And we did a very crisp, dry, stainless steel fermented Chardonnay. It's a little touch of oak aging on this, but not oak fermentation. And it keeps these really crisp, dry characteristics. And in particular, you don't have any of this oak overtones, buttery overtones. Mm-hmm. It keeps the Chardonnay grape is a beautiful grape to work with. And the original white Burgundy style really did get extended by a lot of Californian winemakers to go oaky and super buttery. Because the Californian palate, American palate in the 80s and 90s liked a lot of big flavor. I mean, that was the palate we were dealing with. They liked soda, they liked candy. And so when wines came around, they're like, how do we adapt to this?
Yeah.
This one keeps the Chardonnay grapes great characteristics of bright vitamin C fruit, particularly citrus.
Yeah.
Lemon, lime, grapefruit, pineapple. Yeah. It's great summer wine. I always say to people when they're in here, picture yourself on a beach with a glass of wine on a hot day. You go for a crisp cold wine to fill that glass while someone's cracking lobster tails, crab legs, shrimp, oysters. That's the scene.
It is interesting too because it's not overly buttery and it's not overly oaky.
Well, there's the malolactic fermentation hasn't really taken any presence on it because once it's in stainless steel, it's not going to re-ferment itself.
Right. Very good. Very good. Nice and crisp.
Yeah. So then let's just show a few wines. Not we don't want to take all of them up, but this is a fun one I like. This is our Rosewell. Or Roswell. See what I did there?
I see what you did there.
I wanted to make a rosé, and I was wondering what to call it. I was just trying to think of something that was vaguely Area 51, U.S. Air Force, America type thing. That was just so obvious. And this is a Grenache rosé, and only about an hour and a half on the skins of the dark rosé of the dark Grenache grape really gives it some characteristics which you'll like, and it just picks up a very little bit of strawberry on the finish. Has a beautifully floral nose, so that nice delicate light pink color.
Very pretty.
Yeah, and it's a really tasty, crisp, dry style of rosé. Southern European style, sitting in a cafe in Avignon, watching people go by, having a nice glass of rosé. Let's do it in a Californian style as well.
It's like summer in a glass.
It's a very dangerous wine, this one. This is one that doesn't have a top secret warning, which should have a government warning that bottles can be consumed quickly in a short amount of time without knowing what you did.
My cameraman Bert over here, he's going to like this stuff.
I can see him eyeing it off already.
Yeah.
In fact, he's just taken a bottle and gone out the back door. I don't know where he went.
Again, he does that every time.
I know.
Jeez. That's very good.
Yeah, it's an easy drinking wine.
Very
It's
easy.
a lot of fun.
Yeah, exactly.
But that was good. I mean, it's just nice to, when I did my wine list, because I do a lot of blends, I will use wines that, I have made or my brother Mike at Kalari Winery has made or other winemakers I know, and I'll blend sometimes some of theirs with ours because they will arrive saying, hey, I've got a case of something, let's say Tempranillo, or barrel of Tempranillo. I've got 30 or so gallons as well, and I don't know what to do with it. It's not enough to do a single run of 30 cases. So do you want to blend it into something you have got? And my approach has always been, it's like, what does my customer base want? What does the market in general, what's it looking for now? And I feel it's looking for a little bit of an adventure in wine.
Yeah.
So that's why blends have become popular. It's very rare that someone comes in and says, I don't like blends, because that makes no sense. If you say, do you like Cab? Yes. Do you like Merlot? Yes. Do you like Cabernet Franc? Yes. What if we blended them together? Oh, no, I don't like that. That doesn't make any sense to me.
Exactly.
And it's weird that very occasionally, it's very, very rare that someone comes and says, oh, I don't like blends. And that's just, and so I say, look, let's try this wine. And they're like, oh, I really like this wine. What is it? It's a blend. So it's that trial and error. And I wanted to find stuff that my customer base and the market in general liked. And that was all part of the ongoing education of new wine varietals that they hadn't had before. I mean, if I pour a white Rhone blend and I say it's Viognier, Marsanne, and Roussanne, they're like, I've never heard of those grape varietals.
Exactly.
And then you show them the bottle and they're like, oh, I've heard of Vognier. I'm like, well, you mean Viognier, only pronouncing correctly. So I get what you're doing. So they're recognizing new names, but they don't understand them. So that's part of why we have wine tasting rooms, and that's to do that.
Yeah, and I don't think people actually get the concept of blends.
No, it's always surprising when they said they don't like them. Because, every blend is different, so they've never tried every blend, but they've just taken sort of like an old school stand, like this is it. And part of it is us educating them.
Yeah.
And that's the beauty of having the wine tasting room, and why the Funk Zone works is because we have a wine tasting room in a very accessible area for people just wandering around. If you're in a car and you're going to a winery, you're going there for a specific reason, and that is to go wine tasting and purchase some wine and put it in your car. When you're in an environment like the Funk Zone, you're getting people who are wandering by. It's like, I don't know a lot about wine. I'd like to try wine, but I don't want to drive the whole way to the valley. We'll come in here. And that's what we really set ourselves up for. For people who knew us already, for wine club members, for wine aficionados and wine people who love their wine, without having to get in a car and go on a big journey. And so this area, the Funk Zone, is catching all of this foot traffic. And all of this traffic from big city centers like San Diego and LA and Simi Valley that are coming up to Santa Barbara. We're 2 blocks from the ocean. In a beautiful town, the mountains behind us. Seemed like a good place to have a wine tasting room.
Which is why we're here.
Yeah.
Showing people,
It captures a lot of people that we might not have caught before. Will you go past me that model, the collusion on there? Yeah.
And by the way, I like the strawberry finish on this.
Yeah,
I see what you mean now.
Yeah, it's not sweet, it's very refreshing.
And it comes after a minute or so. Yeah, that's great.
So this is always a fun wine. We had the collusion. So what I do is when I take a blend and I name it, I generally have 5 or 6 blends. And every year, or every vintage when I create a new one, I keep the theme the same. For example, the White Light is generally a Chardonnay-based wine. The Close Encounter is a white Rhone style, maybe a variation on it. This collusion has always been a red Rhone. So it's been always a mixture of Syrah, Grenache, and Mourvedre. A GSM. But what I add along the way is I will add something else, I will change the percentages, so I keep the theme the same. So we've had this collusion since our first vintage in 2013. 2012 is the first vintage actually. This one is the same, Syrah, Grenache, Mourvedre. I've added about 8% Cabernet Sauvignon on this from a very nice vineyard up in the San Ynez Valley. And this one just shows off some really bright, dark cherry and cranberry characteristics. And what I like about being able to change the vintage every year but keep the theme the same is I can slightly alter the structure of the wine, the balance, the body, the integration of the different grapes as well. And it varies each year, which is because every vintage varies, and every where I get my grapes from, I don't get them all from the same vineyards every year.
And I have to admit, I have been here a couple of times. This is the wine I really like.
I feel like though the times we've kicked you out a couple of times.
We're not talking about that.
Or was that Bert?
That was Bert. Yeah, that had nothing to do with me. So let me ask you a quick question. Collusion, for those who don't know, tell me what the definition of collusion is.
Collusion is a kind of loose definition of it, and it's really a legal term that comes with varying parties allying with each other to create ideas, notions, theories, and put them into operation. How's that for a legal definition?
Okay, that works.
So a collusion between 2 people is like a conspiracy. It's like a coordinated effort to create something, whether it be legal or illegal. I actually got this name because I pulled it out of a book on Area 51, and it was talking about a collusion between the military and the scientific bodies in the 1950s when Eisenhower was deciding whether to build and construct a policy in the United States administration to deal with the possibility of alien life and extraterrestrial infiltration into the United States and the world. It's kind of a great story. And the conclusion they came up with at the end is like, we'll build a secret scientific base somewhere in the middle of nowhere and we'll deal with it. And that's kind of where Area 51 came from. And so...
the X-Files.
And the X-Files. So now it's like conspiracy and collusion and theory and all this kind of science fiction words come out, using far more prevalent than they used to be in the last few years. We all know about that, but it's we don't go there. So the collusion is a little coordination and integration of a few different wines to create the final outcome. There you go.
I like that.
Yeah.
And this wine's amazing.
Yeah. We actually also have a conspiracy red, which by coincidence has also become topical. So
Is it really coincidence?
I don't know. No, it's who knows. Who knows what's out there? I want to believe.
I do want to believe.
Yeah. I'm not a big Area 51, X-Files, alien, spaceship kind of guy. It's just made for a great theme for winery.
You're kind of turning gray here.
Turning a little gray and green and other colors.
I love it though. That's really good wine.
Yeah, and then the last one you can grab there is our Zinvasion. And this is a good example of a couple of different wines that wouldn't normally be friends in the old world. Zinfandel, a grape that has its origins in Croatia and in Italy on the Adriatic coast, is known as Primitivo. and Malbec, which is originally a Bordeaux style, now planted a lot in South America and Argentina places. But these weren't far from each other in the vineyards, and I wanted a light, easy Zinfandel, so I didn't get like a big hot weather area like say Paso Robles or Lodi, where they're very big extracted old vine Zins that are big and red and dark. This one's a little more subtle, and the Malbec adds to this the kind of little integration with a little bit of smokiness and dark berries, blueberries and blackberries going with some boysenberries and balancing it out. You know, I like this wine because it's got a certain complexity without being a big, full-on heavy wine. You know. I've had a lot of big Zinfandels, and you can see Zinfandel drinkers because they've got red lips and red teeth. So this one's a little bit lighter in the body.
So these Zin grapes come from where? Up here?
No, these Zin grapes actually come from a friend's vineyard up in the Sierra foothills, El Dorado County.
Oh, interesting.
You know, and that's I put that on the appellation this time, El Dorado Hills, just because I like to show off his vineyard. So a little bit cooler.
Yeah. And I get that little bit of dryness from the Malbec.
Yeah. So the tannins on this are there, but they're not heavily obvious. Good food wine. A local chef here had paired this with a dark flourless chocolate torte, which I thought was a really good food pairing.
Interesting.
Because I like to do a lot of food pairing.
I was going to say tri-tip.
I've got some very good customers who are chefs, and you know we talk a lot about it, and I do a lot of wine dinners, so that's kind of a lot of fun.
All right, cool. Well, this is really good.
Yeah. And then, I have always, another couple of blends that sitting in barrel waiting to be released. I've got our Majestic 12 blend, which is always an Italian one, Sangiovese, Nebbiolo, Barbera, and or something else. And I vary that around. I've had some.
When's that coming out?
I've had some Charbonnet. That should be out within the next month or two.
Okay. And
then a new Conspiracy Red. And the most interesting one I did was one called Celestial, which was a Santa Rita Hills Pinot Noir from Buonterra Vineyards, and I blended that with some Petit Syrah. So that would have turned some heads.
Interesting.
And some old French winemakers turned them in their grave, knowing that I put a Santa Rita Hills Pinot with a San Ynez Valley Petit Syrah. But it was a fantastic wine, and we sold out of it. Like, we couldn't keep it in stock.
Wow.
People liked Pinot, but it was a little more full-bodied and rounder, but without big tannic flavors. It was super popular, and that was called Celestial. And then I have Equinox, and I've got a declassified port. So there's a few. I have fun. So when it needs for me to create a new name, sometimes I'll create the name and then follow it with a wine. Who knows? That's the beauty of blending.
It's all about concept.
Yeah, it's
like your winery.
Yeah, it's a concept.
Yeah. So this place is really cool, and you're only going to find this stuff in the Funk Zone here at Area 5.1 Winery. And Martin's usually here, right?
Yeah, I'm here on the weekends, and Monday is my day in here to unwind everyone from the weekend. But I've got super staff; they're a lot of fun and relaxed, and we have a good time, and that's what you've got to have with wine, don't you?
Absolutely. So if you guys are looking for good wine, good blends, and a conspiracy, come here to Area 5.1.
Yeah, expect the unexpected.
That's right.
To boldly go where no winery has gone before. In a vineyard far, far away. Yeah, sorry, we get carried away with that. Excellent, thank you.
Brother.
Yeah. Bert, come back. He's gone. Gone.
Wine Dude, signing off. Hopefully, I won't get abducted.
Or probed.
Oh, man. Wine Dude here in the Funk Zone, Area 5.1 Winery. You guys gotta come up here. This place is awesome. I'm telling you, the wines are great, the blends are great. Amazing, amazing place. So Wine Dude here signing off. We'll see you guys up here soon.